All right. Serious and silliness is the pleasure of having Shawna Mendelson.
Mendelson.
Mendelson. Sorry, I got a bit of an accent. It's terrible. And she is a multiple world record powerlifting champion.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So from the people who don't know, who are not powerlifting nuts like like you and me, why don't you take us to the beginning and how did you get into powerlifting? Because most girls, they like maybe fitness, or they like figure, or they like bikini. Mm-hmm. Usually benching as much as you possibly can is usually left for the guys. So how did you decided that you fell in love with this sport and you wanted to take it all the way?
So this is going back probably 20 something years ago. Mm-hmm. My older brother Scott started in the sport first. Mm-hmm. And I had basically just graduated from college, and I was living in Brooklyn, New York.
Really?
And
what part of Brooklyn?
I lived in Carroll Gardens.
You can't be serious. Are you serious?
Yeah.
My entire family, I'm talking on my entire family, on both sides, my mother and father, were from Carroll Gardens.
Oh, really?
Okay. Before it became spinster, yuppie, hipster, when it was all Italian.
Yeah. So I lived on Carroll and Smith Street.
Oh my God, that's so funny. My father was from President Henry, and my mother was from Sackett and Henry.
Wow. Yeah, literally down the block.
That's amazing. It's amazing like what a small world this is. It's unbelievable. Yeah. All right, so continue. You were living in Brooklyn.
All right. So so I was living in Brooklyn. I worked in the city. At that time, I was working in the garment district. And my sister-in-law calls me up and she's like, your brother's doing powerlifting meets and this and that. And I was always into fitness and staying in shape. And I was an athlete when I was a kid and whatever else. And my sister-in-law was like, Shawna, you have to try it. And I'm like, I don't have time. I'm so busy, blah, blah, blah. I'm barely making it to the gym now. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, I wind up going to an Arnold.
Okay.
So I go to Arnold Classic. My brother's competing there. It's like the first time he's competing there. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that there happened to be a gym on Long Island called Iron Island Gym. Mm-hmm. And I met some people that trained there and that were powerlifters. 2 weeks later, I'm in the gym doing a test day, and then that was it. I was hooked.
That's it. So just to explain for the people that don't know who your brother is, Scot Mendelson.
Yeah. So my brother Scott held at one point the all-time raw record of 715. And then he also held the all-time equipped record at 1035 or 1037. Mm-hmm. So at one point, he was great at both raw and equipped, and he's still one of the all-time greatest benchers of all time.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I had the pleasure of interviewing him about maybe a month and a half ago. But we're going to talk about you today. So, so you were hooked, and how old were you at that point?
Like 20.
Okay, so you started relatively young. And when was your first meet?
My first meet was in 1999.
Okay. And how did you do
That was at Iron Island Gym.
Okay.
And I think I squatted 400. Uh-huh. And I benched 275. Mm-hmm. And I think I deadlifted at the time like 315 or something.
Okay. Was this equipped or raw?
So I've always only competed equipped.
Yeah. Back in the late 90s, equipped was like the thing. That was huge.
That's all there was. When I got into the sport, there was no raw. Like nobody even competed raw. Like we would train raw, but when we would go to compete, we would put our gear on.
Right.
So, absolutely. And gear is very different than it is now.
Sure.
In a lot of aspects. But yeah, so that's kind of like where it started. And then 6 months later, I did my first nationals. Mm-hmm. And then a couple months after that, I was at my first worlds. And then it just went from there.
Now, how much did you weigh back then when you first started when you were 20?
I always competed in the 181 weight class. That was just my weight class. A couple of times I competed at 165. I also competed at 148 a few times. But my comfortable weight class is 181.
Okay.
Because I always hover like around like 173, 172. So I never fully fill out my weight class. But, you know, I don't have to lose weight or cut weight or anything like that. It's just, I just go in and do what I do.
Oh, that's good. That's definitely a hell of a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
What is your best lift? Usually most powerlifters have either 1 or 2 out of 3 that they're really good at. Which ones are that for you?
I mean, I'm pretty good at all 3.
Okay.
My best squat in competition is 725.
Wow.
My best squat in the gym is 800.
Okay.
My best bench press in competition is 550 pounds, which is the all-time world record in my weight class.
That's amazing.
And my best deadlift is 535.
Wow. Okay. So your squat and your bench is clearly the not that your deadlift is bad by no stretch is it bad, but your squat and your bench press is clearly
those are my dominant.
Those are your dominant movements. Now, you tell me if I'm accurate. Usually that's a genetic component. If I'm accurate, usually the people that are better at squatting and bench pressing have the shorter limbs and are a little bit stockier, whereas the deadlifters tend to be like, Thor, the mountain, who's very tall. And, am I accurate?
I'd have to say I have to disagree with you on that.
Okay, no, go right ahead. You're the expert. Yeah. I'm the YouTuber. I don't know shit.
Yeah, I feel like, taller people usually have, it sounds weird, but their deadlift is usually a better deadlift because they are lankier.
Okay.
But as far as squat and bench, there are guys who are, 6'3", 6'4", who have incredible squats.
Okay.
And there are guys who also have, who are also that tall, who have incredible benches. It's really, I think, comes down to technique. It comes down to programming. But as far as bench press goes, if you have really long arms, it is going to be more difficult for you to have a super solid bench. But you can still have a solid squat and a solid deadlift.
Okay.
There's a kid on my team. He weighed in at 171 pounds. He's probably as tall as I am, 5'5", 5'6". And, he's got almost an 800-pound pull.
Wow. That's impressive. That's one thing. I was always very impressed by power, and strength and whatnot. But as I got older and I started really delving into powerlifting and bodybuilding and whatnot, more the power sports, really, more the arm wrestling and the powerlifting. The lighter classes really impressed me always so much because it's like, where does this power come from? For example, when you see somebody like your brother, who is this monster of a man, you're like, wow, this guy can move mountains. Yeah. And then you see somebody like, for example, Rita West.
Yeah.
Who squatted, had a squat world record at 148 at 625 or something, some crazy amount. And you're like, where does this power come from? So to me, that was always, what is your take on it?
So again, you have to also take into consideration that sometimes when people weigh in, they weigh in at a certain weight, but they don't walk around at that weight.
Okay.
So that's first. Okay. Second, some people are just strong. They may have that genetic makeup where, their body just performs a certain way, but a lot of it is also mental. Okay. If your head is not there, it doesn't matter how strong you are, you will fail.
Yeah. I think that is something that a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah. Rita West is a phenom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is Laura Phelps. So is, there are several. Leah is a phenom.
Yeah.
There are certain people in this sport who are at this level because of work, because of perseverance, drive, and wanting to be the best.
No,
you put everything on hold
Mm-hmm.
become the best at anything.
Right.
You know, so it's a lot of sacrifice too.
Sure. Now let's get back to you before we talk about the new breed coming up. So tell us the world records that you have, the ones that are broken, and the ones that you still maintain.
So for all time, right now, I have the all-time bench press record in my weight class.
Really?
But I've broken, I mean, as far as world records, I'm the number one in the masters division. Mm-hmm. I have the all-time world record total, the all-time world record squat, the all-time world record bench.
Wow.
Out of any female ever to walk the face of the planet, doesn't matter how old or what weight class they're in.
Oh, that's amazing.
As far as the open division, I don't even know how many world records I've broken through the years.
Wow.
And through all these different federations. So it's a lot. But
that's absolutely astounding. And that's a tremendous. I mean, you've as far as powerlifting goes, you basically have enough world records to fill 2 lifetimes. You know what I mean? I mean, that is not, most people, do it and they might do like a one contest and see how they do. But, and then some people, maybe go really well and have a couple of world records, but you just keep on going. Now, are you still active or are you just kind of training now?
No. I just competed 4 weeks ago. That's when I broke the bench record.
Wow. See, I'm out of the loop. I apologize. I did not know that.
No, that's okay. I was up in Erie, Pennsylvania.
That's amazing. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So let's get into a little bit of spicy stuff as far as powerlifting goes.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, in the late 90s, early 2000s, everything was about equipped.
Yep.
West Side Barbell was huge. Yep. They made the documentary, so on and so forth. And then I would say about maybe 7-8 years ago, give or take, Raw started really coming back. And there's this kind of tense situation between Raw and equipped. I mean, some of the Raw people are like, it's ridiculous to lift with equipped. And then some people, equipped people are like, no, I just want to see the most amount of numbers I could possibly push. And if this is what it takes, then this is what it takes. So what's your take on it?
So like 7 or 8 years ago, Raw did have a big influx in our sport because of CrossFit. When CrossFit got big, that's when Raw lifting got really big. That's when you started seeing, like a lot of, especially like women,
Yes, very good point. Very good point. Did not realize that. Yeah.
We have more women in the sport now than there's ever been since powerlifting was created,
100%.
So with CrossFit making that influx into powerlifting, they didn't understand gear.
Okay.
So they didn't understand gear. Then you had all these companies like coming out of the woodwork, who were developing and making all of these different kinds of shoes and all this other kind of stuff for Raw and all this other stuff. And I think it's great for the sport. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of people who are Raw, they just don't understand gear and they don't understand really what the premise is behind it. Mm-hmm. And the problem with Raw is that your body's only going to take so much. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be 49 years old next month. And knock on wood, I'm injury free.
Wow, really? That's amazing. Yeah. That's absolutely amazing.
I believe that the reason why I am is because I've worn gear my whole career.
Yeah, I could believe that. Sure.
It just protects your body.
Right.
Yeah, I am lifting weights that are just ridiculous, but I'm also a very strong Raw lifter.
Okay.
Because I don't wear my gear all year long. Mm-hmm. I don't throw my gear on really until I'm like, I don't know, 2 months out from a meet.
Yeah. Okay.
So all that time I'm really training Raw. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think a lot of Raw lifters don't understand also.
Okay.
Also, when you're a geared lifter, we don't do so much volume as far as training. Like raw lifters, like they'll squat 3 times a week.
All right. Okay.
You know, they'll squat 3 times a week. You know, they're so worried about, you know, their RPEs, and they're so worried about.
Yeah. Why is that? That doesn't make any, I mean, I'm not, you know, I don't know as much as you do. I mean, I'm far from an expert, but that goes against everything that I was taught as far as, you know, so go ahead, explain why raw lifters would squat 3 times a week. That doesn't.
They feel like the more they squat, the better they're going to get.
Okay.
But they don't realize, like, you know, your hips and your knees, they take a big beating.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's.
And, you know, you get these raw lifters who get to, you know, these like pro levels, so to speak, pro levels, and, you know, these higher elite levels, and their lifespan is literally only like 3 years and they're done.
Right. I see what you're saying. Okay.
You know, whereas you'll get a gear lifter, like myself, for example, you know.
And like you said,
you know, for many, many years, and I feel great.
And still going.
And I'm still going.
And still breaking world records.
And still breaking world records.
That's amazing. Because I mean, I don't know, you know better, like I said, but I feel like in the last few years, records are being broken a lot faster now than they were in the past, you know, 10, 15, 20 years. You know, I mean, like records that have stood for a long time are being broken now. Like the strict curl world record. Yeah. The strict curl American record was for like 30 years with C.T. Fletcher. And then Leroy Walker comes along and breaks it. And then he goes on 2 months later and breaks the world record. Yeah. And these things are happening constantly. Why do you think this is the progress?
I think a lot of it is, again, training. I think a lot of it, again, is programming. And then also when you're talking about strict curls and all that stuff, this is not really relevant, but like, for example, you know, the new influx of people who are coming into our sport is starting to change now from all those raw lifters wanting to put gear on. Really? Yeah. Okay. So
they're seeing the light.
Right. So now you're going to see a whole new generation of lifters coming up through the game who are going to hit numbers that are going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. It's really something to watch for people that are not interested in powerlifting. I honestly think that it just takes something. Like my brothers have never been into fitness or working out, and I'll show them videos of your brother or a newer video of, like, let's say Julius Maddox. You know, and they're ecstatic. They're like, my God, how could somebody move that much weight? After I did a video I did an interview of Bob Merck. Yeah. And he benched 1,000 and squatted over 1,000 in the same meet.
I was there.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I judged him.
Oh, your brother was there. That's right. Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry. And a friend of mine who has been working out forever messaged me and goes, I didn't even know somebody could actually move that kind of weight. Yeah. You know, and it's like, that's all it takes, you know? And I feel like if people would just give it more of a chance, especially now, they would be really more into it.
Definitely. You know, like we host meets at my gym, and we just had one this past weekend, which was absolutely phenomenal. Okay. And for people who absolutely know nothing about the sport and they come in to watch as a spectator, the whole entire time their jaws are on the floor. Yes. You know, because there's so much going on. There's so much to see. And then just the camaraderie and the energy level in that room is beyond something that you've ever experienced. It's like being in an NFL game, like so hyped that like the crowd never relaxes.
As far as I'm concerned, it's better than an NFL game. Now give your gym a plug. It's Blue Collar Barbell.
Blue Collar Barbell. We're in Bohemia, New York, on Long Island.
I love the name because I'm a blue collar guy. I was an electrician I was an electrician for 10 years. I still do it on the side, and I'm a sewer worker in New York City, so I'm blue collar all the way. So that's a perfect, as far as I'm concerned, that is the perfect name. And
it's all of us.
And it is a hardcore gym. It is no joke.
Yeah. So we have we actually just expanded during the whole COVID thing, and we took over like the next door neighbor's space. Okay. So it's hardcore on one side, and then the other side we have like all Icarian and, you know, all different kinds of machines and whatever, all that kind of stuff. But my gym is private. It's not open to the public.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, so it's private one-on-one training, and then I coach a team, and the team is invite only.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's how special your gym is. I mean, that's pretty much how Louis Simmons runs his gym.
Yeah.
Although I think he does have a portion that is open to the public just for like making money purposes.
You have to ask to go there to train. You can't just walk in.
Yeah. And I'll assume that you have an open invitation since you are.
Yeah.
I figured that. Yeah, I figured that. And I
trained at West Side. I trained there for like 2 years.
Yeah, people don't realize how special that is when you have an open invitation from Louis Simmons. Why don't you explain how special that is?
So I've known Louis since I'm like 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, years ago, before we had the internet and before we had, you know, any kind of social media, we used to travel around from gym to gym to gym to gym just to see how other people were training, seeing what they're doing, you know, what's new, what you can learn, things like that. And then we would all compete at the same meets. Like we would all compete at nationals because that was huge. And then if you placed top 3 in your weight class, you got invited to worlds. And that was huge. Mm-hmm. And Westside Barbell was like always the gym to try to beat because everybody would enter as a team. Mm-hmm. So all these different gyms around the country, we would all enter as different teams. So there was Louis Simmons, and there was another coach that was part of a gym called Big Iron. Mm-hmm. And his name was Rick Hussey.
Okay.
Now, Rick Hussey, he used to coach Becca Swanson.
Okay.
And he used to coach Jim Grandick and Sean Frankel. And so they all came from Rick's gym. Major players.
Yeah.
Okay. So between Rick Hussey and Louis, I used to send VHS tapes to them.
Oh, my God.
Of my training.
Yeah.
And then we would talk on the phone. You know, and then they would critique me and tell me what I need to change and what I need to do and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So that's how long I've known Louis.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's absolutely amazing. Okay. All right. So let's get into your opinion. I did this with you, bro. Let's get into your opinion of some of the spicy stuff that goes on now. And it's really my pet peeves, and I just want to know what your opinion is.
Okay.
Social media lifters. Media lifters that really don't do contests and claim that they could bench all this weight and squat this weight and deadlift this weight. And some of them have been called out of using fake weights. Some of them, you know, and then they claim that they're not, and so on and so forth. What's your whole take on this?
So I have a couple of takes on it.
Go ahead.
You know, I feel like social media, you have to use it for what it is. Mm. You know, and I think a lot of people are trying to build a name and trying to be an influencer and, you know, trying to make money off that and, you know, things like that. You know, I know several dudes on social media mm-hmm. who do just that. You know, they lift fake shit and, you know, they pretend they're doing all this stuff and it's just total garbage.
Yes.
But what I feel bad about is that you have somebody who is a complete novice who might look up to these people.
Yes, that's exactly what my problem is with. Yes.
Right. And that, you know, they want to get into the sport or they want to try to do certain things. And they look at these guys and these guys are like, you know, trying to bench like 700 pounds with like fake plastic plates on there. And you get a kid that has no idea what they're doing.
Right.
And then injury or devastation or whatever the case is. And they don't know any better because they're following, you know, so-and-so.
Right. It's God's honest truth. Yes.
You know, so that's my biggest problem with those people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but then you have the online coaches who they've been training, not even talk about powerlifting, just talk about training in general, you know, for 2 or 3 months. And all of a sudden they're a coach.
They're a guru.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, and so then you get those people who are actually making money from people who have no freaking clue what they're doing.
Yes.
And then they post their videos and they're atrocious.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. I went to the 2016 Olympia Expo. I'm going back this year, but I went there. It was my 40th birthday, and I went there. And I've been a hardcore bodybuilding fan since I'm 15 years old. And I'm not going to name any names, but there was a social media person, and the line to meet him was over an hour long.
Yeah.
And the line to meet Jay Cutler was 20 minutes long.
Unbelievable.
And the line to meet Jose Raymond, who was one of the best 212 bodybuilders that ever lived.
Yeah, I know Jose.
Was no line. And I was just blown away. I'm like, who are you following? You're following people that have never accomplished anything. Right? You might as well follow me because I'm doing the same crap, except at least I'm bringing interesting people on. I mean, it blew me away. Absolutely blew. And I interviewed Jose Raymond, and I told him that. And I actually showed him the picture when we met because I still had it. And he was just there like this, and I was like, Jose, can I get a picture? Yeah, sure, no problem. There was nobody there. He won 12 professional bodybuilding shows. The person, the social media person that had a line over an hour never turned pro in bodybuilding. And this is how it's influenced. I speak to young kids in the gym, and they say, do you follow this one? Do you follow that one? Do you follow this one? And I have no clue who they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't know who Charles Glass is. They don't know who Dave Palumbo is. They don't know who your brother is. They don't know who Eric Spoto is. They don't know who Rita West is. And I'm like, you're following idiots. They can teach you nothing. I don't understand, As far as the gurus go, they should be arrested. They should absolutely be arrested. It's disgusting. Yep. Jose Raymond told me a story that the worst that he's ever seen was starting diuretics 30 days out before a bodybuilding contest. And I'm like, how is that person still alive? And it was not only starting 30 days out, but starting 30 days out and then compounding it, getting more and more and more each week.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm just like, my God, that person should be just jailed. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But that's the nature of it. But then you also have somebody like Larry Wheels, who is a legitimate powerlifter and also a social media sensation.
Yeah.
Right. So what is your take on that then?
On Larry himself or in general?
Yeah, well, Larry on himself or somebody that also uses social media to push themselves, but is legitimate.
I think that's great. I think if people know what the heck they're talking about and can actually give out quality and real information and provide people with things that are helpful, I think that's wonderful. And use the platform as you should.
Yes.
When it comes to Larry Wheels, I'll give you my honest opinion because I don't blow smoke.
Go ahead.
Larry Wheels has no idea what he's doing.
You know what? You're more honest than Rita because I asked Rita and Rita was like, she went literally, you got to go back and watch my interview. She goes,
yeah, she probably rolled her eyes.
Yeah, she did. She goes, he has some impressive lifts. I'll leave it at that.
Look, he is strong. I wouldn't take that away from him. He is strong.
Okay.
But that being said, just because you're strong doesn't mean that you can coach.
Yes.
Right?
So explain to whoever is listening to this, whoever will be listening to this, why Larry Wheels has no idea what he's doing.
Because Larry Wheels goes out there to do a show.
Okay.
That's like his main thing. Like he's trying to make the Larry Wheels circus, so to speak.
Okay.
And, he supposedly works with some guy who's supposed to be his coach. And the coach actually pays Larry to say that this guy coaches him.
Oh my God.
Right. And this is fact.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So that's first. Secondly, the people that Larry really did learn from know what they're doing.
Right. Okay.
But in no way, shape, or form should Larry be giving advice on coaching, on nutrition, on life, on anything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and this is social media. This is what happens. This is what happens.
And I'm not bashing anybody. I mean, it's just fact.
Yeah, if that's the case, then that's the case. That's it.
And again, he's strong. I will give him that. He's a freak.
Right.
He's one of those phenom kind of guys that he just has that natural athletic ability. Mm-hmm. But that's all I'll give him.
Okay. All right. Good. So now let's move on to your tournament that you had at your gym, where the first woman ever to squat over 900 happened at your gym in your tournament.
Yeah. So we ran an incredible contest this past weekend. It was a 9/11 commemorative meet, and it was called Strength of Heroes. Mm-hmm. And what we did was we raised money for the Feel Good Foundation. And I don't know how much you know about the Feel Good Foundation, but John Feel was a firefighter in Manhattan. And when 9/11 happened, he had like his whole foot crushed and everything. And he lost so many friends. And he tried to get benefits and they wouldn't cover anything. His insurance company wouldn't cover anything because it was like past like 60 days or something, and they tried to cut him off and he couldn't work, and it was this whole thing. So he went to bat. He went to the House. He went to the Senate. He got bills approved for all the 9/11 victims who either perished and also got them all of their monies that they needed, all of their insurance that they needed, monies for their families. I mean, this is the guy who called up. Jon Stewart got involved. And Jon Stewart went to the Senate and went to the House. Yeah. And so ever since that day, he's been working and breaking his butt to get these people what they deserve.
Right.
So we threw this contest for him and his federation.
That's an amazing story. And he obviously is a true hero and an icon.
Absolutely.
And I commend you for doing that contest for him. It says a lot about your character.
Thank you. But we raised a ton of money for him. Well, for us, because it was a smaller competition. But we had huge lifts at our contest. Mm-hmm. For example, who you're talking about was Leah Reichman, and she's a phenom in female lifting, and she squatted 935. Wow. She benched 440 and she pulled like mid fives. She totaled 2,000 pounds.
Wow.
She's the second woman in history to ever total 2,000 pounds.
And she's the first woman to ever squat over 900.
The first woman to ever squat over 900.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. She hit 900 and then she hit 935 on her third.
That's a lot. 35 pounds is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you only need 1 pound to win, to break a record. That's just, she was like, fuck it. You know what? Just put 35 more pounds on. Yeah, I can do it.
Well, she had already broken the record like a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
The record used to be 854 and she wound up squatting 880.
Yeah. So she is the, Julius Maddox of squatting for women, if you will, right? Just keeps breaking her own record. Yeah. And thank God I will have the honor of interviewing her, the honor and the privilege of interviewing her, actually, hopefully this Sunday. And,
cool.
And I'm looking forward to it because
she's a lot of fun. She's a great girl.
From the little bit of messaging that we've done, it seems that way. She's fantastic. Yeah. So, okay, one more opinion question.
Sure.
So Julius Maddox tried benching 800.
Yeah.
I think his world record raw is 780 or something like that.
770.
770, something to that effect. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, something like that. 770 or 775.
Do you think he can get to the 800 mark?
He was so close.
Yeah, he really was. He really was.
I definitely think so. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him.
Okay. And then there is another guy coming up. He's an Iranian guy, but I'm not sure if he's competed in powerlifting yet, but from what I understand, somebody's supposed to be putting together like a bench press off between the two of them.
Oh, okay.
And his name is Dan. I forgot his last name. It's an Iranian name. I'm not 100% sure. And he's benched close to what Julius has benched, only in the gym.
Right.
Okay. What's your take on him, and what's your take on if they do go head to head?
So if they do go head to head, I mean, it could be any given Sunday.
Okay.
And being that the guy's only benched in the gym, it's a big difference when you're benching in the gym compared to when you get to a platform.
It's exactly what your brother said.
You're on a different, really,
yeah.
You're on a different bench. You're using a different bar. You know, you're in a completely different atmosphere. You know, some people get stage fright. You know, you're hearing a whole bunch of different things. You know, you have to have an athlete mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And Julius has that.
Yes, yes.
You know, so, and Julius is right there already for 800. This guy is trying to chase Julius. So yes. I think that Julius is going to beat him.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Did you ever meet Julius?
I have not met him in person.
Bob Merck, who is a huge human being, said that Julius Maddox makes him look like a baby. I'm
sure. He's enormous.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, that's what I mean. Like, you look at somebody like that and you go, my God, like this guy could move mountains, like just a huge, you know, he looks like a building. I mean, I've never had the pleasure of meeting him. Hopefully one day, you know, I will. That alone is impressive. I mean, at the same time though, like I said, maybe, you know why I look at the people in the lighter divisions and find it more impressive, because I can relate to that. Because I was never like a really big guy, right? Like I'm 200 pounds. I'm like 5'8" on a good day, right?
Yeah.
So I look at like I look at the little guys or the little women, and I go, like, you know, and growing up, my favorite bodybuilder was always Sean Ray, because he was always the smaller one, right? You know, as much as you love like Ronnie Coleman, like I always related to that.
Yeah.
But that being said, there are some great things happening in powerlifting, and some great things that are going to be continuing. And I'm glad that you're still doing it and still in it, because you and your brother are really, you're basically icons in the sport, and you keep pushing the sport. And I think it's great what you guys are doing, and I think it's fantastic. I just commend you. I especially commend you for the last contest you did for the September 11th. I think that was fantastic. And I hope you keep going, and I hope you keep breaking records. And it has been just an honor. I know I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but you have to understand. This is what you have to understand. It's my podcast, so I reach out to people who I admire. Like, I don't really. So when I interviewed your brother, and now I'm interviewing you, I'm like, holy shit. The Mendelsons are on my.
Yeah, well, you know, it's also Scott and I are the only brother-sister team who have ever simultaneously hold all-time world records, and also we're the strongest brother-sister team to ever grace a platform in powerlifting.
You want to hear a funny story that just popped in my head? It has nothing to do with powerlifting.
Yeah,
but this is really funny. I know nothing about football. Right? I'm not as we said before. This is a funny story. I'm working at night. I just started the job, and this is so funny. You're gonna die laughing. So it's like playoffs, and I'm watching it with the guys, because at nighttime, when you work at night in the sewer, it's very quiet. Unless it's raining, it's very quiet. You're really there on standby just in case something happens, right? So we're watching this game, and I'm white, and I'm watching with two black guys, and we're watching the game. We're just shooting the shit and whatnot, and they start going, you know, if this team gets in and that team gets in, that'll be the first time two brothers are actually facing each other on a team. Yeah. And I said, no, that's not true. I said, I watched the Super Bowl where it was, I think it was the Chicago Bears versus the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
And my friend, who I'm very good friends with today, because I was with her, turns to me and goes, no, two actual brothers.
Yeah.
I thought they were talking about two black guys.
That's hysterical.
And I was like, oh. I think I got work to do. I'll see you guys later.
That's hysterical.
Oh, it's just hilarious. All right, Sean, I'm going to let you go, and I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course, anytime. Have a good
Have a
night.
great night. You too. Bye.